I'm Richard Engel. As troops in Syria are ordered to leave, tonight several current and former military officials tell NBC News many American commanders are outraged as Russia's Vladimir Putin sees an opening.
They don't care about Bashar al-Assad. They care about expanding their influence into Africa and into the Mediterranean. By the way, I think you're doing the wrong thing when Vladimir Putin says you're doing the right thing. That's dangerous.
And some say immoral. For U.S. troops, betrayal is a cardinal sin. But that's exactly what many feel they've been told to do. Abandoning Kurdish forces who fought loyally with them against ISIS. Today, Turkey's President Tayyip Erdogan said an offensive he's so far been unable to carry out against the Kurds is postponed for the moment. But Kurdish leaders are convinced Turkey will eventually move against them. In desperation, they've threatened to release more than 3,000 ISIS detainees they captured with American help. And Syria isn't the only front now in chaos. President Trump announced plans to cut in half the number of U.S. troops in Afghanistan, just as negotiations there with the Taliban are making progress to end America's longest war.
We have reason to doubt the competence and judgment of the President of the United States. We ought to be worried about this.
I've seldom heard such a level of concern among U.S. military leaders. And now, with Mattis out, many worry there'll be more erratic decisions from the Commander-in-Chief.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.